is Alexander. Shabbat for three. Bingo!
Carter will get it for the win. Got it! He is hard to believe.
Here's Jordan.
Yes! The Magic, a 360 turn with the dribble. Magic down the middle. Gives underneath to Worthy. Slam dunk.
Third in the corner. Double fake.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another post-game recap here in the 2022 NBA Finals here on Dime Dropper. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe on YouTube at Dime Dropper Podcast, Apple Podcasts, follow us on Spotify, and of course, to follow us on all social media platforms at Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Dime Dropper Pod. So for tonight's episode, obviously only one game on the agenda as per the finals, Game 3, Celtics Warriors. But before we get into that, I have a couple things to say. The first one is that, guys, for those, obviously the audio version was fine last episode, as it always is. But last episode, guys, the quality of the video was terrible. If that's happening, guys, and I'm coming in blurry and not at least 720p, y'all in the chat got to say something, because I'll end the live and restart. Because that can't happen. Our standard is too high here. We can't have video showing up in 280 or 360p. No way, man. We are holding ourselves to a high standard, and, it looks clear for me on my end. So I can't tell until after the video what it really looked like for y'all. So please let me know. Please make a message in the chat. Please let me know right now. Am I coming in clearly? Audio, I know the audio is fine, but is the picture coming in clearly? So just let me know that in the chat. As for another thing, if you follow me on Twitter, you might have seen, and if you subscribe on YouTube, I made a post about it. Yes, Dime Dropper featuring episode 2 coming after the finals with Spencer Garrett from Winning Time, who played Chick Hearn. I was so happy to have him on. We had a great talk. He went very in-depth to the show. I talked about the controversy, the character depictions, and he answered as much as he could. It was awesome. He was really nice, and he has 10,000 followers, and he's a very successful actor. So please not only give him a follow, but make sure to check that out, promote it, share it. I'm really excited about it because it's not going to be the only Dime Dropper featuring this summer. We got more in the works. So keep supporting. This is what we're all about. We're trying to get higher profile guests and, let me have a real conversation with these people. And you guys supporting me even when I'm not talking to anybody. I appreciate you guys. So those we got to really go ham for in terms of algorithms, comments, likes. Make sure to check that out, and it'll be out after the finals. A snippet will be out, though, before the finals. I'm just give you guys a little preview. Okay, everybody's saying my connection's better today. Good to hear. So let's get right into it. Warriors and Celtics, Game 3, 1-1 in the series. Celtics trying to keep home court advantage. Warriors trying to take it back. And one of the big questions going into the game was, would Klay Thompson have a better game tonight? He did, but it did not end up mattering much. The Boston Celtics threw the first punch today at home. They were my pick to win this game because I just figured first finals game in Boston since Game 5, 2010. And they would come out rocking the crowd, and the players would feed off that energy. And that's exactly what they did, starting with Jalen Brown. Same guy who got the Celtics off to a decent start in Game 2. He was not only hitting his threes, but getting 2 feet in the paint and making the right plays, making the right kickouts, getting the Warriors defense in rotation, and even Draymond Green. The Warriors like to switch a lot. We saw Draymond Green do a good job on Jalen Brown in Game 2. Tonight, not so much. Jalen Brown scored on him twice in the first quarter, one on a floater, one he got all the way. And then they started out. So the Warriors were down 10-2 to start. Nothing was coming easy. Steph, the only times, one of the major reasons he was scoring tonight, and he's had 3 pretty solid games, good games offensively for sure to start this series. But when Al Horford a couple of times tonight, multiple times, is dropping too deep on that drop coverage with Steph, and he was getting burned. Rob Williams, on the other hand, does a better job of dropping, but not too deep, and he's got great length, and he makes up a lot of ground when he jumps forward to try to block shots. So he really makes Steph overshoot it sometimes because obviously you're afraid you're going to get blocked, so you put a little bit more on that thing. So other than that, Warriors are going to switch Grant Williams, Tatum, Jalen, Marcus Smart. All these guys, Derek White, are all going to get cracks at Steph, and they all do a pretty good job, honestly, one-on-one. Even though Steph can create some space, I think that sometimes Steph struggles to create space against length, like normal smaller guards do. As good as Steph is, especially when they're allowing some hand checking, which they were, especially in the fourth quarter tonight, and he needs those screens. I wouldn't say needs them, but it's much easier for him to free himself up with those screens. Anyway, Jalen Brown was the star of the first quarter for Boston. 17 points in the quarter alone, 3 for 4 from deep, making some great passes. I thought Jason Tatum was making some good passes, getting to the rim. I thought Marcus Smart was making plays on both ends of the floor. Smart has done such a great job these playoffs, handling the ball as a point guard and just making the right reads, making extra passes. And he was doing that tonight, driving to the basket, making plays. And Tatum was aggressive as well, as I said. And obviously the Time Lord, great rotations, covering ground, protecting the rim well. And Al Horford making open threes, making the extra pass, being strong. If he had Steph Curry on him, he caught the ball deep, went up strong, finished around the rim, dunked it hard when he was around it and had opportunities to dunk it. He was great. And the Celtics threw the first punch. Klay Thompson did not get going in the first quarter. It was 33-22 in favor of Boston after one. But one guy that did start out playing well was Andrew Wiggins, and he played well, I thought, the whole game. But Steph also, 2 fouls in the first quarter. The Celtics were making it very clear they wanted to get him into a lot of actions. Marcus Smart even went turnaround city on him in the post. So props to the Celtics for really going at Steph and making him work. Second quarter, a little bit better from the Warriors. Klay started to hit, and a couple of threes, freeing himself off the screens. And that was a big welcome sign for the Warrior fans. Andrew Wiggins, also great, knocking down shots, even creating his own shot, hit a nice step back or two tonight, and finishing around the rim. But Tatum, I thought he was really good in the second quarter, getting to the basket at will and hitting 2 pull-up threes contested, taking Steph to the basket when he had him on a switch. And I thought a couple of times throughout the game, especially in the fourth, the Warrior defense did a bad job of leaving Steph exposed on an island against certain guys that he probably shouldn't be guarding. Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown, and Marcus Smart included. And here's the thing. Marcus Smart is the smallest guy out there for the Celtics offensively to start the game, just out there, period, to start the game. And Steph got bullied a little bit tonight. Also because he didn't want to pick up more fouls. He picked up 3 in the first half. So he needs to be more mindful of that. But at the same time, it is Boston. It is a home game at TD Garden. And they're going to favor the home team. And tonight they got more of the home-centric officiating, the home-centric calls. Normal. JB continued to play well second quarter. Marcus Smart was making all the right plays, got to his right hand for 2 layups late in the half. But the Dubs made a little bit run and in that quarter, cut it down to 8 or 9, but the Celtics responded well. As for the substitutes for the Warriors, 21 minutes from Otto Porter, 24 minutes for Jordan Poole, and 11 for Gary Payton Jr. So not much GP2. Part of it is because the Warriors, as great as, it seems like they are offensively because of the Splash Bros and Jordan Poole, they have 2 guys in their starting lineup that can't hit a shot outside 10 feet. And then when Gary Payton comes in, he's hesitant to shoot the ball outside 10 feet. So Steph Curry is creating these advantages that in other teams, it's like, let's use the Celtics, for example, right? They have one guy that can't shoot the ball outside 10 feet. That's their center, who hangs around the basket as a lob threat, as an offensive rebounding threat. And we're going to get into the offensive rebounding in a second. But everyone else, the Horfords of the world, they don't spot up or stay in places that they can't shoot. Draymond Green gets the ball a lot as the trigger man behind the foul line. And when he's not being respected, Jason Tatum can help out on Steph Curry and Klay Thompson coming off screens and take away that look, and also being able to recover to Draymond if he tries to drive. And it's the same with Looney too on the short roll. Sometimes it's like when the Celtics are playing drop coverage, Looney will get the ball at the foul line. He's got a quick second to pick and pop, but that's not his game. And the Celtics guys, Al Horford, Robert Williams, they recover. Whereas with Boston, if Smart or Tatum or Jalen create half an advantage, if you are not leaving Rob Williams open at the rim, you're leaving a shooter open, and all of them can make you pay. Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, who were the only 2 subs besides Grant Williams that got run. So that's really been their 8-man rotation as the playoffs have progressed. Pritchard, White, and Grant Williams. Tice didn't get any burn tonight, which was a smart decision by Udoka. But that's the thing. The Warriors don't have the same offensive advantages that the Celtics do, which is crazy to say because they have Steph Curry and Klay, and he creates those advantages. But Draymond Green went back to being the podcaster tonight, no looking at the basket, and his defense wasn't that great either. So when he's not playing great defense, and I'm talking great defense, he needs to play great defense because he's not doing anything else positively. And that's not an all-star to me. He made the all-star team this year, and he played really solid defense this year, but he doesn't play like an all-star consistently. He doesn't have all-star impact on a consistent basis because he used to, because his offense wasn't that horrendous, and his defense would usually always make up for it. But now against the high-level elite defensive teams, It's standing out more. As I say, all your flaws get exposed in the playoffs. And ever since 2016, Draymond has not won a ring without Kevin Durant. And Kevin Durant alleviated a lot of these issues that I talked about before. 2 points and 4 rebounds, 3 assists. That's not going to get it done at all. 35-34 was the score in the second quarter in favor of Boston. So they led 68 to 56 at halftime. 68 points is a lot in the NBA Finals. And by the way, somebody else who I thought played well in the first half and just throughout the game, Derek White, a couple nice drives to the basket. He continues to play well. They showed a little graphic, but the last 6 games, he's averaging like 15 points. He finished 3 for 9 because he was 0 for 3 from 3. And his 3 has looked pretty suspect all playoffs, but his IQ is good. He makes the right plays. He goes to the basket, and he puts pressure on the defense for sure to some degree. Anyway, let's talk about the second half, right? We got a little bit of a dose of third quarter Warriors tonight, but not even just third quarter Warriors, mainly third quarter Curry. He took over the game in the third quarter with a nice flurry, 2 straight threes, getting to the basket a bit. And the problem is, though, he cut it down to 8. I think it was 64-72. And it was so funny. One of the guys I follow on Twitter mentioned that Steph Curry, the Warriors going to make a run, and then Scott Foster is going to call tough phantom 4th foul on Steph. That's going to kill momentum. And I wouldn't say it was a phantom call, but it was pretty soft. Marcus Smart was coming up the court and pulled up for 3, and Steph reached from behind and made a little contact with his arm. Steph got his 4th foul, but it didn't deter him at all. He stayed in the game, and he responded even more with a couple more tough shots. And then the big one was the flagrant foul, which was just Al Horford. You know, Steph Curry landed on Al Horford's foot, but part of it's because Steph Curry jumped forward. And he got a flagrant foul off of it because the landing space after the Kawhi Zaza incident has been a huge point of emphasis in the league. And that was a 5-point swing that got the Warriors within 2. And drop coverage, Horford was getting killed. You know, that's part of it as well. And that was actually one of those instances where Horford, even though he had got a better contest in there, he was dropped a little too deep, got burned. But Steph, I don't think he's a foul baiter or anything like that, but sometimes he does try to get that foul in the landing space shit. And I just think that, okay, it's one thing to be a foul, but that to be a flagrant is so cupcake. I cannot stand it. I can't stand it. It's very obvious when someone tries to slide your foot intentionally underneath, but that's just that. I think that there needs to be some interpretation of that rule because that being a flagrant is just not good for the game. It's cupcake shit. It's just not enough contact. Sometimes you're going to hit someone's foot on the way down. Sometimes. If they're not putting it there purposely for you to land on it so it can fuck up your ankle, I get it. I know they want to take that away in its entirety, but it's like these are great shooters, and it's hard defense being played right now. And plus, guys are jumping forward also. Let's not act like they're not jumping forward. But 15 points in the third for Steph. Steve Kerr, funny enough, took Steph out at the end of the third because I knew he wanted to play him the whole fourth because that's been a criticism of Kerr that he didn't let Steph go the whole fourth in the first game. So he took him out at the end of the third. And for a second, it looked like the Celtics were going to take a 7-point lead, or they took a 7-point lead. It looked like they were going to maybe push it to 10 at the end of the third quarter. And we would have said, oh man, when Curry was out, the Celtics just took over. You know, the Time Lord was doing great work protecting the rim, and the Celtics were getting killed. The Warriors were getting beaten up on the offensive glass, the glass in general. You know, Draymond Green was the second biggest guy that played tonight for the Warriors besides Looney. So when Looney was out of the game and Looney only played 17 minutes, that's Draymond Green at the 5. You are going to be vulnerable on the glass. 31 rebounds to 47 for the Celtics, and then 15-6 offensive rebounds in favor of Boston. That's going to be huge. 3 from Jalen, 2 from Marcus Smart, 3 from the Time Lord, and 3 from Horford, and 3 from Grant Williams. And one of them, Grant Williams, put it back up and in. I remember it. So there you go. You got to get a body on guys. You know, Jordan Poole, a couple times I saw, he was just outsized but didn't box out. And somebody who did box out a lot tonight, Marcus Smart, I just thought he was fantastic. Total bounce back game from the 2 points he had in game 2 was just awesome. Penetrating, putting pressure on Curry, and I'm going to get into his defense in the fourth quarter in a second, but the third quarter did belong to the Warriors, and because Klay Thompson was actually hitting shots, he had a big 3 at the end of the third to cut the deficit a little bit, and it was only a 4-point game. And by the way, Jordan Poole, I haven't talked about. I thought they need a little bit more scoring from him, but I thought he was making all the right reads. You know, the Warriors did the Celtics did a really good job of taking away his easy shots coming off screens. So he was dropping it off and making solid passes to rollers. And I thought he was pretty good. Just may need to look to be a little bit more aggressive, but he had 10 points, 4 for 8 from the field and 1 for 4 from 3. That was the 4th leading scorer on the Dubs, which he so often is one of those 4 leading scorers on the Dubs. But 33-25 in favor of the Warriors in that quarter. And it was 93-89 going into the fourth. I thought we were going to get our first close game of the series, a tough fourth quarter, but we didn't. It was the Celtics pulling away, and it started with the aggression of Jason Tatum, getting to the bucket constantly, and they were clearly attacking Steph in pick and roll over and over. And I actually thought that the results for the Warriors were pretty good when Steph was hedging and waiting for Wiggins to recover and then going back. I thought they were actually getting decent looks, but for whatever reason, they went with Steph Curry switching a lot on Tatum, and they were getting burned. And Marcus Smart even bullied him. Like, remember, he was trying not to get fouls. And I thought Steph had a tough defensive night tonight, like very tough. If I had to pick out a game where he was really attacked defensively and really struggled, tonight was the night in his finals career, because it was pretty brutal. And it's not fully like, again, this doesn't mean that Steph Curry can't guard. It's the same as Nikola Jokic. It's like, it doesn't mean they can't guard or they're not great defenders. But in today's NBA, if you can't, with the spacing, if you cannot switch 1 to 5, or everybody on the court. I don't want to even use the terms 1 to 5 because we play with small ball. It's not even like guarding traditional centers. But just if you can't switch on everybody on the court, they can put you in a screen and roll and get some kind of advantage based on how you're playing it. Just because every screen and roll, if you don't switch in today's game, can be exploited unless your rotations are really sharp. If you're moving the ball fast enough, you will get a good look. And Jason Tatum was getting good looks. He was getting 2 feet in the paint. He was making big kickouts. Marcus Smart hit a huge 3 to make it 110-96. And then on the other end of the court, Steph is working very hard to even get off a clean look. And that's one thing with Steph that we just got to acknowledge, guys, in the fourth quarter. As tough as it is for Warriors fans to acknowledge this, and I'm not saying he's not clutch. I'm not saying he's not good in the fourth quarter. You can pull up some stat and prove me wrong. But the fact of the matter is he struggles to get clean looks in fourth quarters because his size, and that's normal when he's getting the best defenders in the world on him, the Smarts, and then the length of a Jalen and the Tatums. He's going to need some screens to free him up. Not need, but he's going to prefer some screens to free him up. And when teams have the switching versatility of the Celtics, that's how you make life tough for Steph to get off clean looks. He had this amazing step back on Grant Williams in the quarter, but other than that, I'm pretty sure he'd even score again in that fourth. They had 11 points in the fourth as a team. And, I'm not saying that's all on Steph. It's, Draymond being a non-threat to shoot, to score at all is terrible. It's a terrible thing. 2 points. Jason Tatum is just waiting for Steph Curry to come off the screen to trap him or to throw 2 at him and take away that immediate look. And that's a liability for the Warriors offensively. But at the same time, it's just like, this is the highest level and you see certain things. And Steph, he's the only player, and mind you, this is a very exclusive category that he only sits in as the best scorer on a championship team consensus at that size. Because Isaiah Thomas wasn't a 10-point difference over his next guy when he won the championship. Frazier was not I don't even know if Clyde was the top scorer on that 73 team. And even if he was, it's not more than a point or two. Whereas 2015 Curry, he was averaged 25 points or something. The next guy, Klay Thompson, averaged 18 points. It was very clear who the best scorer was. And it's very clear right now who the best scorer was. And right now, Curry, despite what I'm saying, he's lacking that clear-cut second guy. Say whatever you want about this Warriors team, but they lack that Jalen Brown. Klay Thompson is not his all-star self. He's very solid. He's good. He plays like that some nights, but it's not consistent. Even though he always shot the ball inconsistently at times in the playoffs in the past, he was a better defender then. So he could make up for it. Whereas now he plays like a very good role player at this moment. Wiggins, he's a great role player, but he's not a true all-star to me. Great role player, though. Does his thing. Draymond, don't even get me started. 2 points again tonight. So Marcus Smart did a hell of a job on Curry. Jalen Brown had some great defensive plays tonight. A big block on Klay Thompson late. Then the Time Lord finished it off with a lob. They were attacking Steph on the pick and roll. They killed on the glass. And also Steph turned the ball over 3 times in the fourth quarter. At least 2, if I'm not mistaken. So, it was a tough night. It was a total tough night for the Warriors in general. And let's just I fuck with Steph Curry really heavy. But I'm just telling y'all how it is, man. And I know that's not a truth. It's an uncomfortable truth for a lot of Curry fans, but it's tough. It's just tough to be that size. Today's NBA, when you put guys in pick and roll, it forces some sort of mismatches, and it's hard. So Steph's going to be, and we've seen Chris Paul, we've seen Luka, Trae Young in these positions the entire playoffs. We've seen them try to make the stars work. And that's why I think Giannis, as this league goes on and the playoffs continue, I'm starting to really realize why I think Giannis is the best player in the NBA. Because he doesn't have this disadvantage on defense at all compared to Jokic or Curry. He doesn't have it. And that's what makes him, to me, superior. Kevin Durant also doesn't, but, the easy baskets he creates with his size and strength and what they let him get away with is just, it trumps things for me. But let's talk about the lines, man. You got to give credit to the Boston Celtics for how they played. Let's go with the Warriors first. They shot 46% as a team, 37.5% from deep, so not terrible. 87% from the line, 13 for 15, but they turned the ball over 16 times. So that's a little much. 78 shot attempts as a team, so not even in the 80s, so it was a little bit slower pace. But also, they just didn't get as many shots up. The Celtics shot 11 more times, 89 shots to 78. So you know what that tells you? Second chance opportunities, offensive glass, no rebounds, no rings. That's why Pat Riley, y'all see what Pat Riley said, by the way, in the press conference the other day? He told the reporter, I'm 77. I can still do more push-ups than you. You know what that's called? Big dick energy, baby. That's the Godfather right there. That's the man, Pat Riley, man. I wouldn't be surprised if he's still like having, okay, I'm not going to get in trouble saying things, but I think he's having young man fun still. That's my opinion. Because I don't know, man. If you were a woman in Miami, doesn't matter what age you are, you wouldn't go for the Godfather? Shit. I would if I was a woman. He's just that kind of guy. He's just a G. But anyway, let's not talk about the Godfather right now. He's working on some offseason plans for the Miami Heat. Let's talk about the teams that are in the finals, and let's read the lines. Otto Porter Jr., decent game for him. Wasn't too big of a role. 21 minutes, 6 points, 2 for 3 from the field. Those were all threes. 4 assists as well. Gary Payton II, 0 for 2, 2 points. Not much of an impact in 11 minutes. Jordan Poole, 24 minutes played, 10 points, 4 for 8. Thought he was pretty solid, 3 assists. For the starters, Kevon Looney, 6 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. It was an okay Looney game. He was fine. 17 minutes, though, was not much. And then the other 4 starters were the guys that got 35-plus minutes. Andrew Wiggins, I thought he was really solid. 18.7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, but 3 turnovers. You can do with 1 less than that. 40 minutes played. He led the team in minutes. 7 for 16 from the field, 1 for 6 from deep. So he's really struggled shooting that 3 ball. And then Clay, 7 for 17 from the field, 5 for 13 from deep, and 6 for 6 from the line, 39 minutes played. I thought he was really solid, and it's disappointing that he had 25 points and shot fairly efficiently, and the Warriors didn't win and weren't really that close in the end. And then Steph Curry, another very solid game, but again, there's 2 problems with Curry. Defense, he can still be exploited to some degree, and then the fourth quarter, when they let them hand check and they put the best defenders on him, he struggles to get clean looks. It's an uncomfortable truth that Warrior fans and Curry fans need to have with themselves. Size does matter. Size does matter in the NBA. It does. It does at the highest levels, guys. And that's why I never will think that Steph Curry and Magic Johnson is a conversation, because 6'9" Magic Johnson can shoot a fucking running skyhook with 2 people and 6'10" guys on him in the foul line in traffic. You feel me? That's a different level. That's just the size he was blessed with. Steph Curry, to be as good as he is at his size, I mean, come on. He's probably the best player ever at that size. Like, he probably is. Like him or Isaiah Thomas. Take your pick. Jerry West is a little bigger than Steph. And I don't even know if Jerry West is better than Steph. I think Steph is probably better. It's different. That, 60 years apart, you can argue all day. But I thought he still played well. Steph needs a secondary guy. I'm not saying off-season type shit, but tonight, honestly, he just needed Draymond to be better and the defense to be better. But the defense starts with him too. Draymond Green. So 31 points for Steph, 4 rebounds, only 2 assists, 2 steals, 3 turnovers, most of those in the fourth. 12 for 22 from the field, 6 for 11 from deep, but only 1 foul shot, which is ridiculous. But also the refs, they just don't give Steph the whistle that he deserves. He should have had 3, 4, 5 foul shot attempts tonight. But it's a mixture of home-centric officiating and Steph just not getting a great whistle, which he doesn't get for a superstar. But it's also, it's hard to get all the way to the cup and draw the contact when you're smaller. Draymond Green, though, 2 points, 2 more points than me. 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block, 2 turnovers, and he fouled out. 1 for 4 from the field and 0 for 2 from deep. I mean, let's see what he says on his podcast tomorrow. So tired of his shit, dude. Best defender of all time. Why don't you look up at the rafters of the stadium you're playing in, brother? Then you'll see the best defender of all time. Here's the funny part. He's not even the best defender from his own franchise. That's the funniest part about Draymond. He's not even the best. I understand why he said it, the confidence. Like, it's the same way with people that think they're the best in the world. You obviously, even if you're If you're Jason Tatum right now, I would think I'm the best player in the world. I would have that mentality that no one's better than me. Draymond, he has that on the defensive end, and obviously, I know it's hypothetical, but you'd want to say that if like you're the Rudy Escargot-Bears, the Draymond Greens, the Bill Russells, the Ben Wallaces, like they'll probably all think they're the best defender ever. Like no one can score on me and all this shit. But there's a level of respect that Bill Russell achieved things that Draymond Green's just never going to achieve. He's not that good of a player like that. Bill Russell is the only guy in the history of the NBA that has won multiple championships as the best player on his team that was defense first, not offense first. No other superstars like that. So he will always be the best defender ever to me. And I can talk. And by the way, if you want to talk about breaking it down in the X's and O's, I can fucking do that too. But y'all know I can. So I don't need to do that. The rings speak for itself. You walk into TD Garden, I've been there 3 times. You walk into TD Garden, those banners hit you smack dab in the face. 11 of them were put up by the one man that spark plugged that whole shit. And that was number 6. And number 6 is the best defender of all time. But Draymond wants to say that. That's cool. But the funny part is he's not even the best defender for his own franchise. That's Nate Thurmond. And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar will second that nomination. Anyway, I do have respect for Draymond, though. Let's make that clear. I don't want to go too hard on him. But it's like he's just like, I just can't. Ever since he signed with Clutch, I just don't fuck with him anymore. And here's the thing. When he plays well, I'm going to tell it how it is. When he plays like shit, I'm going to tell it how it is. He even admitted in the post-game presser tonight, he played soft. He didn't play well. And right now, it looks like Draymond is the X factor, not Wiggins. Wiggins has been consistent. And Clay played well tonight and didn't matter. It's Draymond that when he played badly in game 1, they lost. When he played badly in game 3, they lost. When he played better in game 2, or whatever you want to call it, for those that think he wasn't really playing ball, they won. So Draymond Green, it seems like the X factor in this particular series. And right now he's not outplaying Marcus Smart or Al Horford for that matter. Let's talk about the Celtics stat lines. 48% from the field they shot, 43 out of 89, 37% from deep, 13 for 35. They did not overdo it. They stayed aggressive, and that's what I love. Jason Tatum stayed aggressive. He stayed going to the rim. Marcus Smart stayed going to the rim. They shot 24 foul shots. They made 17 of them. Should be a little bit better. As for their bench, Peyton Pritchard shot 2 shots in 10 minutes, made 3 points on a kick out. Derek White, 7 points, 3 for 9 from the field in 24 minutes. Solid performance by him, even though he was minus 12. Don't think it's I think he probably just played a good amount of third quarter minutes where Steph made his run. But outside of the third quarters, guys, the Warriors played a good first 3 quarters in the first game. But outside of the third quarters, though, in the last 2 games, it's the Celtics have really been I just think the Celtics have looked better through 3 games and the whole playoffs, if I'm being real. I think they're the best. I think that I picked the Warriors in 7, but part of that was an emotional selection. I just don't want the Celtics to win, man. They're 2 games away, and I can already hear my friends going to get, oh, man, I talked about a Boston sports drought, and it's looking like 3 years is a small drought, and they may be parading again in green. It's just, 18th ring. Oh, man, LA won't have the best franchise, even though I don't like the Lakers like that. It's just like I do take somewhat pride in at least the Lakers are the main team in the city, and they have the most championships. I'm always going to go LA over Boston or any city for that matter, but shit. By the way, I still think the Lakers are the best franchise, even if the Celtics win this chip. I do. Just because winning in different eras matters to me. But man, you could have the argument, though, Celtics fans, if you go back ahead of them. Right now, I don't think there is much, but hey, that's not what this is about. 10 points for Grant Williams. I thought he finally had a solid scoring night. 4 for 7 from the field, 1 for 4 from deep. 3 offensive rebounds, 5 overall, and just big time on the offensive glass. As I said, 15 rebounds offensive to 6, and then 47 to 31 as a whole. As for the starters, all of which played 26 minutes or more, the Time Lord, you could argue he was the player of the game tonight. I thought he was phenomenal. His rim protection, his the lob threat that he is, his recovery time, the way he gets out on Steph and puts a hand up, 8 points, 10 rebounds, 3 of those offensive, 4 blocks, 3 steals, and 0 turnovers, plus 21, the highest of any player on the court tonight. Rob Williams, maybe the player of the game. He was awesome. Al Horford, 30 minutes, 11 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 5 for 7, 1 block on a really nice closeout, 1 for 2 from deep. That was in the first quarter. Just awesome again from Horford, earning every bit of this if he gets this championship. And then the other 3, Marcus Smart, what a bounce back for him. 24 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. Did an exceptional job on Curry. Did turn the ball over 5 times, which was almost half the turnovers for the team. but he was awesome. 8 for 17 from the field, 3 for 7 from deep, 5 for 7 from the line. And then the Jays, who led by example the whole way, starting with Jalen Brown, 40 minutes played, 27 points, his best game of the series, 9 for 16 from the field. Of course, 17 of those were in the first quarter, 4 for 8 from deep, 5 for 6 from the line, 9 rebounds, 5 assists to go along with it. And then Jason Tatum, who you can also argue was the player of the game because the way he closed, 26 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists, 9 for 23 from the field, 3 for 9 from deep. And I think he was better than Steph tonight because it's not all about offense. Jason Tatum didn't get exploited on defense the way Steph did, and he can't because he's too big. You can't exploit him that way. And that's one of the things you can put him in that conversation with Giannis and Durant in that way. And he's been fantastic defensively all playoffs. So 116-100 is the final score. That leaves us to a huge game 4 for the Warriors. It's a must win. If they do not win that game, I don't see them coming back from a 3-1 deficit. They need a win. All the pressure's on them. And I'm going to tell you right now, Steph Curry could be due for a bad shooting night. And I don't think he can afford one in this series because they're going to need 10 points from Draymond minimum to me, unless Clay or Poole go up for 30 plus. It's like the Warriors' room for error is not that, margin for error is just really not that high. I just think the Celtics are the better team. They're stronger. Their physicality wore on the Warriors tonight. They're physical. It's like an old school kind of vibe with them. They're big. And they're very well prepared with Udoka. And they have a clear-cut second star. And they both have size. Which, honestly, I was having doubts about this kind of model of a team, of the two best players being wings. Because sometimes you need them to do so much offensively if they're your two main guys, that defensively they take a hit. But this is the model that the Clippers need to follow next year. Because Jason and Jalen are showing you that this can work. Because there's never been, besides Jordan and Pippen, but they weren't very similar, Jordan and Pippen. Two wings. I guess you can say Wade and LeBron too. But the thing is, LeBron is the playmaker, Pippen is the playmaker, Wade and Jordan are more scorers. You know what I'm saying? Whereas Tatum and Jalen are both kind of the same. You know, they playmake through their scoring gravity and they're, trying to learn how to be better in pick and roll, but they're more ISO scorers. So that's what Kawhi and Paul are. And Kawhi and Paul are the kind of the de facto playmakers for the Clippers because we don't have a pure point. But Marcus Smart has become that kind of point that they've really had next to them. And Reggie Jackson is going to have to be that for the Clippers next year. The only issue with Reggie is he doesn't defend at the level Smart does. So he will be exploited at the highest levels if the Clippers get to that level next year. So, but I'm not going to talk about the Clippers right now. It's the finals, and the Celtics and the Warriors deserve their shine. And yeah, the Celtics are 2 games away from a fucking championship, guys. Oh my God. I did not think it would happen this quick, and it could. And Jason Tatum to be a 5th-year, 24-year-old leader, leading a team to a chip. Oh my goodness. But I'm not going to get into those conversations yet because we still got a series to be played. For the Warriors, what's the adjustment? You got to stay in front of the ball better. You got to need more from Draymond. Steph needs to be better in the fourth quarters because 2 of those games were going into the fourth were anyone's game, and they lost them. So we'll see. If they have to have a 20-point lead to going into the fourth to win, that's a concern. But anyway, that's it for me tonight, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Let me know what you thought of the recap. Give me your reviews. Give me your comments. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts if you'd like. And yeah, by the way, points in the paint, 52-26 in favor of Boston. That's double the amount. So there you go. That's the story for the game. Story of the game for you right there. That's it for me tonight, guys. Celtics are 2 games away from a ring. This next game should be extremely interesting. The Warriors need it. Super chats are turned on if you want to drop $1 or a dime for your boy. Always taking donations. Make sure to stay tuned for the clip for the Spencer Garrett episode. A clip of it is probably coming after game 4. And if you have HBO Max, check out Winning Time. If you're a basketball fan, it was very entertaining, and it'll make you enjoy the episode more. But it was 35 minutes, a great chat. Show some support for your boy. We're trying to get bigger guests on the show for you guys, so trying to build. Thanks so much. Ending at the 34th minute, like the truth, Paul Pierce, who was in attendance tonight. Peace. What's up, y'all? Let's see what we got tonight in the chat. 21 people. I like it. Let's go. Let's go. Ooh, thirsty as fuck. Season 6. TDP's rolling the green. No, not yet. No, LOL. June 28th, July says Golden State Warriors for game 4. I hope. Riot Chowdhury says it's better today. Daniel says you're all good now. Riot says you're good, Darian. Domo Genesis says great game today. Yes, Jordan Francis says, hey, Darian, what's up, man? Ty Baller says, if Draymond Green's a surefire Hall of Famer, we need Rasheed. Is Rasheed Wallace not in the Hall of Fame? Chauncey Billups is in the Hall of Fame? And Larry Nance. Man, if Rasheed Wallace isn't in the Hall of Fame, yeah, Rasheed Wallace was a way better player than Draymond. Fuck. He was definitely better than Draymond. It's not even close to me. Damn, that's crazy. Rasheed Wallace in the Hall of Fame. He probably should be, man. He won the championship with that Pistons team. He could have won Finals MVP. Oh, my goodness. Wait, Ben Wallace in the Hall of Fame. Then Rasheed Wallace needs to be in the Hall of Fame. What the fuck? He almost won a championship in 2000. Man, he really basically made it to 3 Game 7s of the final. He could have had 4 rings. 05, 2010, and 2000. Man. Domo Genesis says Big Rob was out there swatting them left and right. Facts. Daniel Clifford says, I like Draymond Green, but what the fuck is he doing out there? He's going to hurt someone the way he plays. The way he's falling on other players. Daniel Clifford says, just realized I kind of sound like a bitch. Don't say that. Ty Pollard says, for real, Daniel Clifford, dude grabbing and pushing like he's playing in the Super Bowl and not the NBA Finals, LMAO. Then Robert Hoopin. Domo Genesis says, I think Robert, I already said that. What's up, Jabari? Jabari says, I like seeing the aggression from the Celtics. Daniel says, he has more followers than points this series on God. Ty Baller said, Warriors summed up right now as Curry surrounded by a lot of great/good role players. Yes. Was enough to get this far, but it seems that some guys are either incapable or unwilling to step into the limelight of being the clear number 2 they can look to. Domo Genesis says, Pat a pimp. Dude, he is. Oh, thank you for bringing this up. Right? I needed to say my piece on this. So Draymond having thoughts on the physicality of the 80s and 90s. So what did I tell you guys? And is the NBA getting better and better? Again, a video that everyone should watch if you actually give a fuck about this discussion. Because this is what people get twisted. The worst lie, and you can say it started with the older people, the people above my generation, my dad's generation and this, that the NBA back in the day was like they weren't even playing basketball. Like they were just hitting the fuck out of you every play, and they were just, you couldn't even score any easy layups, or like there was no uncontested layups or no blow-bys or anything of that nature. It's like, oh, every time you got to the rim, you're getting taken out mid-flight. That's an exaggeration. Complete exaggeration. So if any old person is saying that, and Stephen A. Smith and Mad Dog and all these people that represent ESPN and represent old school basketball are doing an awful job of articulating the actual difference in the past. The difference in the past was the little shit, the little even more grabbing and tugging, the little bit more contact off the ball, the hand checking and the hands you could put on perimeter players, the fact that certain cheap shots, when they did occur, were not penalized and fined the same way that they are now. Okay, it's not that. And by the way, the whole so-and-so couldn't play back then, that's bullshit too, because you are taking away from what the journey of making the NBA is. In every era, it is very hard. These are the best players in the world, in every era. So saying, so-and-so couldn't play 30, 40 years prior or in the future, it's just disrespectful to me. It takes away from how hard it is to make the league. So those comments need to go away too. But to act like, so Draymond's comment about everybody's acting like they were, not everybody was punching you in the face. It's not about punching people in the face. It's about the contact that was allowed by the NBA that they slowly wanted to fizzle out of the game to make it a more aesthetically pleasing experience for the fans because the scores were getting too low in the mid-2000s. This is documented. I'm not making it up. I'm not making this shit up. You can look it up. And Draymond and these players should know this. So it's not about the hitting people and punching guys in the face in the fights. It's about the little more contact that was allowed. Now, if older people stop saying things like you could never play back then maybe the younger people would understand better. I just think there's ignorance on both sides, and it's just a toxic discussion that's only going to get worse. And with people like Draymond Green and JJ Baby Dick getting so much support on this, it's only going to get worse for people like me who support the old school game and tell it how it is and actually know the differences between eras, because I put in that research. Put me in a fucking cage with JJ Baby Dick, please. I will make him look the fool when it comes to the past. He's talking about there's more wear and tear now. What about, dude, what are you talking about? Like the 60s players were playing 100 plus possessions a night, riding in commercial planes, getting racially abused, and had to put Vaseline in their socks. And you with the massage therapist and all this different shit are talking about wear and tear, bro. You're getting paid millions of dollars to shoot 3-pointers. I understand there's more ground covered on a half-court set in today's game. But watch a game from the 60s and 70s, and you tell me that shit's not physically taxing, that this is a different level completely. Oh my goodness, that's just not true. That's just not true. You're lying. If you want to talk about the early 2000s, sure, but then I can use the physicality argument that it was really physical in the 2000s, and you can get way more contact injuries. It's just these people want to stand up for what they believe in their era, and they want to go, yeah, what I did was the best, and I hate when I get sensitive when you say anything about it. I get sensitive when people lie. That's what I get sensitive about, when people lie about the game that I love. That shit's bullshit. And Draymond Green is a smart motherfucker when it comes to the modern NBA. But when he's talking about the past, he does not know what he's talking about. Again, also, the person he was referring to and coming back at was Cedric Maxwell. Do you know who he was? This motherfucker fought a fan. He fought a fan. He took James Worthy, pushed him in the air. James Worthy, who is not a guy known for fighting. That was a star scorer. Pushed him in the air in the finals. That would have been ejected in a suspension today. Watch the clip. He fucking pushed him in mid-flight. Cedric Maxwell was not to be played with. You feel me? That Celtics team were not bitches. You know, they'll actually fight. Robert Parrish knocked Bill Laimbeer to the floor. Larry Bird will fight you. He will punch people. Danny Ainge will punch people. Like, these guys were not to be played with. So when you got to also know who you're talking to. Cedric Maxwell was that kind of guy. You know what I'm saying? So they need to do their research, but they just, you know what's hurt is they don't want to contextualize and look at the game from the 80s lens. They're going to compare it to the now and talk about what's better now. And they're just going to say, look at how much space. And it's so funny. Draymond, of all people, can't talk about space given to shooters back then because he's given all the space in the world. But anyway, sorry for going on that rant. Oh my God. He says, I can see it now. Y'all just looking at the numbers. I'm actually on the court making an impact aside from the stats. Y'all hating, but face it, the new media is coming. Draymond triple single green. Domo Genesis says Draymond talks way too much. Ty Baller says, for someone who's willing to criticize others and legitimately tell a reporter that someone who you are currently playing against wants to be like you, he sure doesn't talk. That's referring to Grant Williams. He sure doesn't back up his talk that often. I honestly really like and respect Draymond Green and think dude did a lot for the small ball big evolution, but the shit he's been doing is straight ridiculous, right? Chowdhury says it'll be an all-time great title run by the Celtics if they pull this off. Never would have picked him to be in this situation in mid-season. What a turnaround. Facts. Absolutely. Also, Jason Tatum still hasn't had a superstar performance in this series yet. He's bound to have one. Yeah. Domo Genesis says, W Dime. I appreciate you, bro. Raid says, honestly think the Celtics are going to pull this off, but you never know. I'm not going to count out Steph. Facts. Jabari McKee says, the Warriors are aging, unfortunately. I want them to win, but the Celtics' size and speed seems overwhelming at times. That's facts, too. Ty Baller says, kind of crazy that the team that was praised for depth and scoring outlets is now singled out to simply Curry and the role player of the day versus the Celtics. Facts. Domo Genesis says, she definitely over Dre. Right? Chowdhury says, Michael Cooper over Draymond. I don't know about that. Because Draymond 2015-16 probably peaked higher than Coop, but I got to watch Coop's film. Thank you. By the way, June 20th, July, I really appreciate you always with the super chats. Always. I notice you, my man or woman. You're a man, right? He says, how would Heat have done against these Warriors? Worse. Yeah, worse. I think the Warriors would be up 2-1. Right? Chowdhury says, Darian, is this Celtics team the best finals team the Steph Curry era Warriors have faced? No, I'm going to still go with the 2016 Cavs because they have LeBron in his prime. And a top 10 player of all time in their prime with a Kyrie Irving scoring and then a third man and Kevin Love, even though he didn't have a great series, but he still played big in Game 7. So I'm going to go with the 2016 Cavs. Oh, the 2019 Raptors were really good too, man. I really like that team because Kawhi was on one. But yeah, I'll go with the Cavs. But I think the 2019 Raptors could have given those Cavs a run for their money. Much love, bro. Hey, Domo Genesis, man. I really appreciate you, bro. Really appreciate all the super chats. The other you guys are throwing it in there, man. Really appreciate it. Said, yes, he does have a finals MVP. I would pay to see a Draymond and Rodman matchup. He's like a wannabe Rodman sometimes. What's up, Jake Burns? When's the next drop, my guy? You haven't told me, I don't think. When's the next drop? You planning? I've seen you posting, man. You've been posting some big shit. Yo, let's get into it. Brown off the top, came into the tone. Shout out Marcus Smart. Been big all series. Attack Curry all night. Barbecue chicken. Clay's lost his burst off the dribble. Fact. And he never even had that crazy burst off the dribble either. Ty Baller says, I honestly hate the fact that the way some people are seeing arguments from an era based trying to discredit either side of the fullest extent. No happy medium or realistic view. I know, bro. It's like, I could honestly, I could school these people, bro. Like, I can actually school these people, like, for real. You know who, by the way, guys, I want to make a recommendation to everybody right now. Please do yourselves a favor and go watch Kenny Smith's All the Smoke. It was unbelievable. That motherfucker knows so much about the history of the game. Like, he's a student of the game. You may not notice how smart he is when it comes to modern analysis of like the whatever's game is going on right now, but when it comes to the past, he knows the evolution of basketball. Like, he knows. And he understands the rules that I've put in place. He knows he would want to play in this era. That's the thing about Kenny. He knows he would thrive. He knows he's shooting threes. So please do yourselves a favor. He's a great storyteller too, top tier. Raid says, I think the 2017 Cavs are the best team the Warriors faced. Interesting, but the thing is, okay, are you saying they just stepped up in the playoffs? Because they finished below the fucking Isaiah Thomas Celtics. 24-year-old Tatum or Kevin Durant? Well, Tatum's definitely a better defender than Durant was at that point. But let me think. 24-year-old Kevin Durant, that was what? So Tatum's in his 5th year. That's Kevin Durant. Oh, hell. Oh, I'm going to have to go with KD. 2012 Durant, I'm going to go with KD. He was just, whew. Sheesh. 2012 KD with this spacing? Man. I mean, we saw it last year, but I don't know what it was about KD back then. I think he just had more burst off the bounce back then. But I think Kevin Durant was a little better. Ooh, but here's the thing, though. If Tatum wins, we're going to have a conversation on that one. But Durant, ooh. I'm going to have to say Kevin, but it's really close, man. If Tatum wins this series, we can maybe consider that, but I don't think this is not the Heat. You know what I'm saying? There's no Dwayne Wade there's no Dwayne Wade. You know, and even LeBron, like, I love Steph, but he's not LeBron in his prime. Like, LeBron in his prime was the man. What's up, Showtime Nick? I'm actually here for the live now. Unfortunately, I missed the podcast part, so I'll go back later. Appreciate you a lot, bro. Jake Burns says, yeah, he never had the off the dribble chops. He has no bounce at the rim. Celtics survived 30 from Curry, 25 from Clay, 18 from Wiggy, and 10 from Poole. Celtics in 6. Shout out to Time Lord. He's been big. Facts. All good points. Showtime Nick says, but yeah, I'm worried now about the Warriors. It's not over, but right now, yes, it's time to worry. 2012 KD couldn't win a ring. I want to make some clarification statements about this. I'd have to go back and watch game 2 and game 4 or was it game 3? I think it was game 4. That was close. But Kevin Durant, it was not his fault that they didn't win that championship. He averaged 30 in the finals, didn't he? He was really good. It was Westbrook's bad decision-making in the end, and James Harden didn't show up. He was clubbing too much. Straight up. And it's also the Heat were just a better team. They were in their primes. Like, LeBron had to win that championship. And, I wouldn't say couldn't win a ring. I think it's a little harsh on Kevin. And you know I was harsh on Kevin, but Darian, is Jalen Brown the finals MVP of the Celtics thus far? Not for me. Not for me. I think Tatum still just garners too much attention. But, yeah, I also think you can't. Yeah, it's obviously you asked thus far, but, you don't become finals MVP for winning 2 games. You become from winning 4. Jake, you guys asked the same question. Yeah, tie ball. Yeah, against the 2012 Heat. Exactly. Yep, there you go. Showtime Nick. Russ and Harden were definitely more at fault than KD in 2012 for sure. Right? Said KD was great. He's trying to prime LeBron and D Wade. Yeah, I think maybe in the first year that D Wade was starting to get out of his prime, but he was still amazing. He was still like a top 5 player, easily top 10. But Showtime Nick says, I remember Meta World Peace, Meta Sandiford Artest tweeted all beard, no brain during the 2012 finals, and I responded probably because you knocked his brain out. Oh my God, I was at that game, by the way. Any last questions, boys? I gotta go to the bathroom, low key. Yes, Jake. We'll end it on Jake's question. You gotta go to the fucking bathroom, man. Nothing? He's typing it out. Drum roll. By the way, guys, make sure to comment on the video after I'm done, please. For the algorithms, need them. Comment on this video. Where's Harden heading from here? He's staying in Philly, man. If the Warriors lose a series in 6 with their cap all messed up, what do you think's next? Develop Wiseman. Develop your young players. I don't think any of the guys are free agents, so honestly, as crazy as this sounds, just run it back and see what you can get in free agency in terms of small moves. That's all I can say. But I would consider trading Draymond. I would, but I don't know. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, man, I feel you on that. Peace out, y'all. Have a great night. Make sure to comment on this video.